Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope y'all are doing well. It is a very rainy, gray day in New York, which is a little sad, but we are doing something very exciting today and I wanted to take you along with us. My mom is here in my apartment and we are headed to Lisbon, Portugal today to meet up with my brother and his girlfriend. It's the first time I've traveled internationally, I want to say in almost 3 years, since about October 2019. I'm so excited, and we are flying business class, of course, on TAP Portugal today, which is really exciting because I've never flown it, and you are going to absolutely freak out when you hear how many miles this cost me, because it is absolutely insane to fly to Europe on this little amount of miles. So let's head to JFK. Okay, so after a long Uber ride through Queens with a ridiculous amount of traffic, we made it to JFK Terminal 1, where my mom and I checked in our luggage for our TAP Portugal flight, and after security, headed to the Lufthansa Senator Lounge. Now, this lounge is actually part of Priority Pass, so you don't need to be flying business or first class to enter. I've actually been in this lounge twice before. Once in March 2018 when I flew Japan Airlines business class from New York to Tokyo, and the second time I traveled there with my mom and brother, and we actually got to access the first class section because my mom was flying first class on Japan Airlines. Oh, and when we accessed the first class section when we were leaving, I noticed in the business class section that the coffee machine was just broken. This lounge, whether business or first class, really nothing to write home about, as is on par with most US lounges. My mom and I each got a few food items, some meatballs, some short ribs, some vegetables, as well as some Indian curry. All were pretty decent. Actually, the brownies were probably my favorite, and my mom really enjoyed the pretzels and M&Ms. We did notice on the food menu in the lounge that they said they had Junior's cheesecake, and we asked about that, but they knew nothing about having the cheesecake, which was disappointing. I also used the coffee machine to get my mom a hot chocolate, which was one of the selections on there, but no chocolate came out. It was basically milk with maybe a small touch of chocolate on top, so that was pretty much a fail. So again, definitely not my favorite lounge, but serviceable, and I was saving most of my appetite for the flight anyway. There were no announcements in the lounge of when flights were boarding, so my mom and I just decided a few minutes before the flight was going to board to head down there, and after a little bit of a hubbub at the gate, they started letting people board the flight. Now, the business class on this TAP Portugal flight had a 1-2-1 configuration, and I chose both window seats for my mom and I, me in 7K and my mom in 6H. With this seating configuration, we also noticed that on the odd numbers, the table was on the aisle, but on the even numbers, the table was at the window, which pushed you a little bit more into the aisle. So if you are looking for privacy, book an odd number seat on the window side. In one of the storage compartments of the seat, we were greeted with 2 waters, an amenity kit, and the headphones, which we'd use for the flight. The seat was very spacious and featured a couple other different storage areas, as well as a TV that pulled out from the front, an adjustable armrest, and a pull-out tray table for when food was served. The seat controls were also right on your left and very easy to navigate, and they worked very well during the flight. I thought the amenity kits on this flight were one of the most beautiful I've really ever seen, though I did think it was weird that mine featured Rome, Italy, and my mom's featured Washington, D.C. when this airline was named TAP Portugal. Anyway, in the amenity kit was something I'd never seen before in any amenity kit, a fragrance sachet. It smelled good, but I just thought it was kind of interesting. Also in the amenity kit were a pair of socks, a comb, a pen, a toothbrush and toothpaste, always welcome, hand cream from the brand Castelbel Porto, a lip balm, some earbuds, and a sleep mask. I also really loved the safety video on this flight with all the people from different countries speaking Portuguese. I thought it was a really cool travel touch.
Portugal recebeu-nos como reis, e uma vez chegados a esse país maravilhoso, é bem provável que nunca mais nos queiramos ir embora.
And after the safety video played, we were on our way to Portugal. Now there was Wi-Fi offered on the flight for a cost, but I didn't use it. I focused mostly on the in-flight entertainment system. It did take a second or two to react when I touched it, but it was alright. Movie selection wasn't great, but it was alright. I decided to watch The Batman, which I hadn't seen yet. And just a little while after takeoff, food service began. The menu was just one page and didn't list the drinks available, but I did find on the in-flight entertainment lists of the wines they had, and I decided to try the Bruto de Portugal sparkling wine, which I thought was pretty good. The food came out all at once, similar to like an economy class or premium economy serving, which was fine. All of it looked great. The starter was a sweet corn flan with herb marinated shrimp and smoked tomato vinaigrette, and it was really good. The corn flavor was pretty strong, but I liked it anyway. I also thought the plating was really beautiful. For the main course, there was a choice of 3 items, and I decided to get the cod with Thai mushroom sauce, purple potato, roasted potato, radish, and snow peas julienne. I thought this was just okay. If I could pick it again, I'd probably get the mushroom ravioli, but it was pretty decent. I'd say like a 5 out of 10. My favorite item out of the food service was probably the New York cheesecake. That was delicious. And after filling up on food, I tried to get some sleep before landing in Lisbon. Unfortunately, I had a really hard time sleeping on this flight. I just couldn't get comfortable. I think the cabin was just a little too warm for me, which happens, but it left me a little delirious when we landed. For breakfast, we were served kind of a mix of everything, some fruits, some meats, some cheeses, as well as some cucumbers. We also got some bread, which I thought was the best, and I had to ask for an iced coffee where they poured a hot coffee into a cup of ice. And a little while later, we started our descent into Lisbon with one of the most beautiful descents I think I've ever seen, flying right over the city. And now I'll share how I booked this flight. I spent a total of 70,000 Avianca Life miles and $100.60 for both my mom and I to fly business class from JFK to Lisbon. That amounts to just 35,000 miles and $50.30 per person. Now, this is the lowest amount of points and miles I have seen to fly business class from the US to Europe. This is what people in the points and miles world call a sweet spot, where you're spending less points and miles or less taxes and fees than another loyalty program to fly from one place to another. And you may be thinking, hey, this should apply from New York to Lisbon in general, but it does not. If you fly from Newark to Lisbon, it will cost you 63,000 miles. If you fly from Lisbon to Newark, it will still cost you 63,000 miles. And even if you fly from Lisbon back to JFK, it will still cost you 63,000 miles. The only way to get a 35,000 mile business class ticket is to fly from JFK to Lisbon. Now, if you're looking to accumulate Avianca Life miles, the 2 transfer partners are Capital One and Amex Membership Rewards. And Amex Membership Rewards frequently has some transfer bonuses to Avianca Life miles, so I definitely look out for those. Also, if you're one of those people who is interested in what the cash equivalents would be if you book this flight outright, the same flight would have cost $2,281. I try not to compare those because I wouldn't book this flight outright for that much, but I always think it's interesting to see how much the flight would cost out of pocket. So if you're interested, that's how much it would cost. All in all, this flight was great. The food was good, the seat was wonderful, and to spend just 70,000 miles and a little over $100 to get my mom and I flying business class for 7 hours was wonderful. Thanks so much for watching. Obrigada, and I'll see you next time. It's good. Please don't drop my phone. Drop my phone. Let go.